So here are the three big stories for today. It is Sunday, January 28th. Ukraine had a massive fraud investigation in weapons procurement. I talked about this in New News this morning, and somebody said something about like, well, but you didn't say that they recovered the money. That's true. What happened was 100,000 mortar shells were supposed to be created. They were not created, and it was just bad because it looks like a black eye because it gives the opponents of Ukraine a reason to say, see, they're still corrupt. Now, the officials accused of participating in the scheme include the current and former heads of the Defense Ministry's Department of Military and Technical Policy and Development of Armaments and Military Equipment, as well as the head of Lviv Arsenal, where it was supposed to be being created. According to Ukraine's prosecutor general, the stolen funds have been seized and will be returned to the defense budget. That is something I didn't talk about for time constraint reasons, but they're already making hay of this in RT. And so you've just got to understand that that's what my focus or motivation was to say it that way. But they did get it back, and that's good, but so much better if it just didn't happen at all. Okay. Yesterday was the celebration of the 80th anniversary of the breaking of the siege of Leningrad, or at least it was reported yesterday. And so Vladimir Putin and his pal Alexander Lukashenko took part in a ceremony for unveiling a memorial to the USSR civilians who fell victim to the Nazi genocide during the Great Patriotic War. They're always making hay of the Great Patriotic War. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if in Ukraine they had a memorial day based on the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Now, you have until August 23 to make this happen, to put this into your code so that you can remember what Soviet aggression was like at that time where they were carving up the world between them. Just a thought. You can do with it as you like. Saw this article and I thought this was fascinating. This was just 2 days ago. Ukraine can win a war of attrition. And I thought, something doesn't sound right. But it's from the Wilson Center. And the Wilson Center is actually a legit kind of think tank. And so what did they have to say? All right, I want to focus on this. For all the expense, none of the massive bombardments, the Russian bombardments, have yielded decisive results in degrading Ukrainian military potential. This is largely because Ukraine's strategic depth is not in Ukraine. Stocks of Ukrainian arms and ammunition and the facilities that produce them are shielded beneath the American nuclear umbrella and in Europe and the United States. Russia, as a combatant in the conflict, does not enjoy this advantage. And that's a really interesting point. They can't go well deep and attack all those munitions. The problem is a lack of strategic will. Okay, two more things here. On the ground, Russia's rate of artillery fire has fallen dramatically from a high of 45 to 80,000 shells per day during Russia's summer offensive in 2022 to 10 to 15,000 shells per day by the beginning of fall of 2023. And so that's a problem for the Russians, just like it is for the Ukrainians. Last little bit at the very end, Russia may have gained control of 18% of Ukraine, but in doing so, it has cost nearly 18 years of military modernization and has exposed serious institutional weaknesses. If Ukraine maintains its determination and retains external support, it can win a war of attrition. The continued battering of both the Russian military and the Russian economy, and my money's on the Russian economy, will eventually force Moscow to choose between an indecisive end to the war or risk losing its place as a major power as the West slowly but massively rearms over the next several years. I think that's all true. Now, a war of attrition, they can't lose men at the same rate, but attriting with all these other factors is really interesting. Okay, that's all that I have. Thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and the coffees, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.